Get your homework done, brother? You guys ready? You got to tell me what's going on in the front yard. All right. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Tallmadge City Schools Board of Education. FYI, I know Chris Sippa is on her way. She was getting late out of work, so she'll probably roll in here any moment. But she said to go ahead and get started. So at this time, if we could stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jeff, please call the roll.
Mr. Fairhurst.
Here.
Mr. Taiwan.
Here.
Mrs. Sippa will be. Ms. Justice Carter. Here. Mr. Keller.
Here. You don't have an agenda up, do you? At this time, I'd like to welcome visitors. I know that I think there's a candidates night right after the meeting, which will be a great opportunity for folks. You were right as we were walking in. I didn't realize that there was a meeting after the meeting for the candidates that are running this fall for school board, chance to ask some questions and that for them to respond. So glad that we're able to do that here. For others that are visitors here that want to address the board, there'll be an opportunity for public input and comment at the end of the meeting. I'll explain what those rules or the guidelines are. But again, when we get to that point, but typically you stand, say who you are, where you live, try and limit your comment to 3 minutes. If there's a group here, I don't think this is the case tonight, but there was a group of folks that don't like the president of the board and want me fired. For example, like you guys could consolidate your comments and make it a little bit more efficient and just say, hey, this guy's terrible, we want to get rid of him. But don't worry, if you wait long enough, I'll be gone anyway. But no, and during that time too, I know that there's a lot of issues that are out there in the world and there's various opinions about them, and we just want to keep it, the rules are always civil discourse, and we don't usually end up in a Q&A, but I want to respect the folks that are here that want to say their piece and have us hear it. And that'll be at the end of the meeting, and I'll circle back on that when we get to it. Section 2, recommendations of the Board of Education, approval of the minutes of prior meeting.
I'll move.
Motion by Chris,
Second.
seconded by Mark. Any additions, subtractions, changes, corrections?
I have nothing. No.
I don't either.
Good.
Jeff, please call the roll.
Mr. Taiwan.
Aye.
Mr. Fairhurst.
Aye.
Ms. Justice Carter.
Aye.
Mr. Keller.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Section 3, recommendations of the treasurer. I'm having a hard time bringing it up. I'm not connected yet, so I'd read them for you. Yeah, no, I got it here. I'll do it. Item 3.1, it's recommended that the Board of Education adopt the financial report for the month of August 2021.
So moved.
Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Chris. Any comments, Jeff?
No, not this month.
Okay. Jeff, please call the roll.
Ms. Justice Carter.
Aye.
Mr. Taiwan.
Aye.
Mr. Fairhurst.
Aye.
Mr. Keller.
Aye. Item 3.2, it's hold on a second. This is like figures, rookie, right? It's recommended that the board adopt the permanent appropriations for the fiscal year 22 as attached. Appropriations are to be adopted by September 30th each year and filed with the county fiscal office. Motion by Mark, seconded by Chris. Jeff.
Yes, as the resolution states, these are adopted each year. We file them with the county office so they can track. They have the certificate estimated resources versus the appropriations, so they kind of keep us accountable that way. These are subject to change throughout the year, but these become our spending guidelines for the fiscal year.
Okay. Any questions? Standard stuff.
Standard stuff.
Great. Jeff, please call the roll.
Mr. Fairhurst.
Aye.
Mr. Taiwan.
Aye.
Ms. Justice Carter.
Aye.
Mr. Keller.
Aye. I'm stealing it, sorry. Mine won't come up. Okay, section 4, recommendations of the superintendent of schools. Item 4.1, it's recommended that the Board of Education approve the administration's recommended bus routes for the 2021-2022 school year, which are available to review upon request. Motion by Chris, seconded by Mark.
These routes are posted each year about this time for the public, and by now the routes are set for the year.
Gotcha, and we do this, like, this is typical, like, we
Every
run the
year,
routes
yeah.
and then we finalize them, so even though,
That's right.
like, people are wondering, like, we're approving the routes, school already started, but, because there's adjustments once we get going. How's subscription working, subscription busing?
You know,
So far, so good.
overall good. It certainly was made the routes more efficient. I mean, where most of our routes are less than a half hour. There was, I think, still, we need to do a better job with our families, letting them know they need to subscribe. I think there's still some confusion around that piece of it, so we'll do a better job in that next year. I'd say the one thing I wish we would have done a better job to start the year.
Gotcha. All right, thanks, Steve. Any questions? Jeff, please call the roll.
Mr. Taiwan.
Aye.
Mr. Fairhurst.
Aye.
Ms. Justice Carter.
Aye.
Mr. Keller.
Aye. Item 4.3, 4.2. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve an overnight out-of-town field trip for the Tallmadge High School cross-country team to travel to Centerville, Ohio to compete in the Saturday Night Lights Invitational, October 2nd through 3rd of this year, instead of the originally approved dates of the 25th through the 26th of September.
So moved.
Motion by Chris, seconded by Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Easy one. Item 4.3, it's recommended that the Board of Education approve reinstating the following board policies. I'll do them phonetically: Echo Delta, Echo Bravo, and same dash Romeo. Bring your own device program.
So moved.
Motion by Jennifer, second by Chris.
I'll let Mr. Gwynn comment on this.
Sure. Board will recall, let's say April or May, on my recommendation, this was policy that was rescinded, which was provisioning wireless internet to the students. We felt like at time like this, we needed to have parents and family connected with students. So this is a reinstatement of that policy and an addition of an acceptable use policy, which details the expectations when students have their own personal devices on our network.
Gotcha. Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it. Jeff, please call the roll.
Ms. Justice Carter.
Aye.
Mr. Taiwan.
Aye.
Mr. Fairhurst.
Aye.
Mr. Keller.
Aye. We'll start with here. Yes. For the record, Ms. Sipp has joined the meeting. How you doing? You're just in time.
not.
Yeah,
No,
he's good.
it's good timing. It's good
My
timing.
dog ate needles. I gotta take her to the emergency room.
All right.
We're down here, so.
We need you for this one. So item 5.1, it's recommended that the Board of Education accept the resignation due to retirement from Janet Fairhurst, Secretary at Tallmadge Elementary School, effective December 1st, 2021. She's been with the district for 27 years. Motion by Chris, seconded by Chris.
I abstain.
Mark, Mr. Fairhurst abstains for reasons of this is his significant other.
This is bittersweet, so we're excited for Mr. and Mrs. Fairhurst as she moves into retirement. She has just been a wonderful presence at our elementary schools for a long time, and just, our culture is about our people, and we're so thankful for just the kind, efficient, just love that Janet brings to the building, and she will be dearly missed, but we're certainly excited for her as she moves on to the next chapter of her life. And I'll ask Ms. Monachino or Ms. Davis, you want to add anything to that?
Janet came over to Monroe from Dunbar, and she was scared. I don't know why, because they heard rumors about me. And I'm going to tell you what, she was fantastic. She changed our whole, what our office was like. And plus, she makes the best coconut cream pie ever that she would give me for any type of a special occasion. And she's truly, truly, truly going to be missed terribly.
Mark, you're allowed to say something kind about your wife. Oh, Courtney, would you like to?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what both Mr. Wood and Ms. Monachino said, that she has been such an amazing presence for our youngest students. She's warm, she's welcoming to our families, so she is definitely one of a kind, and she'll be missed, so.
Thank you. I'll let her know. For me, mixed emotions from what I'm hearing on the home front. She is kind of torn between doing the job that she's done forever and ever and ever, and not doing it. I mean, it's, you know, to your point, I get all the cookies and pies now. It's all me. It's not. I don't have to share anymore, and that's kind of important for us. But yeah, it's kind of bittersweet. She's got the grandkids to look forward to, and a lot of things and projects she's got she has had on hold for a while, and now she can get to them. And I'm sure, you know, about a year from now, she's going to be wondering if she made the right decision or not. But I think she has. I mean, she's put a lot of time and sweat, and all for the kids. To tell you the truth, it's always about the kids and the families is what she talks about, and so she'll miss that.
And she can always come back and sew.
I'll let her know you said that, and I don't know how well that will go over.
Yeah,
but
take that one
I'll
home
let
with you
know.
tonight. That's right, take that one home with you tonight. Now,
Thanks. Thank you.
we're proud of Janet's service, and, you know, this is, one of the cool things about this job is to see the longevity of a lot of the folks that work here, and it's as much about the leadership of the board, the MEC staff, the teachers in the front of the classroom, but this, you know, the first person that you experience when you walk into the elementary school is often folks in Janet's position. And so that's the front door of the district. It's sometimes a parent's first experience with us, and it matters that they do that job well, and I'm proud of you. Should be very proud, and we're proud of the work that Janet did.
I am.
So congratulations. Jeff, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sipa.
Aye.
Mr. Taiwan.
Aye.
Mr. Fairhurst.
Aye.
Ms. Justice Carter.
Aye.
Mr. Keller.
Aye. Okay, motion to take items 5.2, the remainder of the personnel items 5.2 through 5.10 by consent.
So moved.
Motion by Chris, seconded by Jennifer. Steve, anything you want to highlight in that
Yeah, there's
list?
two I'll pull out just for comment. So first of all, our wheelchair basketball program has just been a really awesome program for our athletes. Tom Linder had been the coach and retired last year, and we really wanted to find the right person to take his spot. And we were thrilled. Monica Curry has stepped up to be the wheelchair basketball coach, and Greg McKalick as will be serving as a volunteer. So we're just really thankful to the two of them for continuing the success of this program. And then the other item, you'll see the last item is a groundskeeper position. Jamie Wade, some folks are very familiar. Jamie's essentially been full-time with us for a long time, technically part-time, but really his position evolved to becoming full-time, so we're making that formal here tonight. And Jamie's just done an amazing job for us, and we're excited to add him to the team.
Thanks, Steve. Jeff, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sipa. Ms. Justice Carter.
Aye.
Mr. Fairhurst.
Aye.
Mr. Taiwan.
Aye.
Mr. Keller.
Aye. Okay, section 6.1, curriculum presentation, I believe, by Ms. Davis.
I'll just comment briefly as Courtney gets up here and gets ready. There's really two items for the central office report tonight. So Courtney, as everyone knows, back in the summertime, moved from being our elementary school principal to being our new curriculum director, essentially replacing, in a way, my old position. So we did not replace the business manager COO position, with the idea being we really wanted to focus the resources of the board on what happens in the classroom. So in a reshuffle, Courtney now is leading our curriculum effort and is, as you'll hear tonight, off to a great start. Also want folks to know, following Courtney's presentation, I will be giving an update on our COVID response, and then it'll be open to the public for comment. So with that, I'll turn it over to Courtney.
All right, thank you. I am really excited to share this important work with all of you. So our strategic plan outlines, goal number 5 is actually related to curriculum and instruction. And it outlines our work to ensure that our students are leaving Tallmadge City Schools with a viable plan to be enrolled, enlisted, or employed. So within that goal, we have 3 objectives. So the first objective underneath that goal is around the implementation of what we're calling the Tallmadge Way. And that entails a uniform K-12 curriculum that is rigorous and also provides opportunities for collaboration with our educational stakeholders. So we've already established if you'll go to the next one. Actually, yeah. So within those, we have those 3 objectives. I mentioned implementation of what we're calling the Tallmadge Way. Second is expanding our district's multi-tiered systems of support, MTSS, and also enhancing the district data systems. So I'll talk more specifically about each one of these objectives under Goal 5 for curriculum and instruction. So the first one, as I mentioned, is implementation of what we're calling the Tallmadge Way. So we have established a content review cycle. So as you can see, this year in 21-22, we're focusing on math, music, and revisiting our K-5 report card. Then subsequently, we'll move into next school year. We'll take on ELA, social studies, art, and foreign language. And then our 3rd year of our strategic plan is focused on science, phys ed, health, and business. So as you can see, we've got all areas covered here. This will be our cycle of review moving forward. So this important work has really already started. So as it relates to math, first we started with a staff survey. So the entire staff was provided with a survey to express their interest in serving on one of these various content committees. The goal being that they're choosing one area that we have representation across all the grade levels, which is extremely important for that vertical alignment piece, and that we have a variety of voices at the table for each one of these content areas. So we asked the staff to choose one area that they would like to serve on a specific content committee. Again, the goal being to get a variety of voices, because inevitably when we put those opportunities out, it was the same people consistently. So we wanted to make sure, again, we had that variety of voices at the table to talk through these. So with that survey, from there we have established our math content committee. And within that committee, we are going to be revisiting our instructional framework, and we're also going to be reviewing the updated Ohio Learning Standards as well. We're going to review and develop assessments and also provide that vertical alignment. So within that math committee, we have representation across K-12, and we'll be working through those important tasks of the content review. Those meetings are starting already next week. So then we'll move into our K-5 report card is also going to be revisited. We have representation across kindergarten through 5th grade, representation from each grade level. We also have a counselor serving on that committee, an administrator serving on that committee as well. We already have a standards-based report card in place at the elementary level, but right now it's about revisiting those standards, making sure they're aligned with the updated Ohio Learning Standards. And again, it's a great opportunity for that vertical alignment piece and making sure that we're covering all of the content across grade levels. We also want to ensure that that K-5 report card is giving our families meaningful information about their students' progress. So you might anticipate some improvements to that report card when it comes home in terms of making sure that we're giving the parents, the families, the information that helps them most. And then in addition to that, the music department will be meeting. As many of you probably know, we've already reinstated a 5th grade band. We had an overwhelming response to 5th grade band. We had over 60 5th graders interested in participating, which was phenomenal. So that's just one opportunity that we've been able to bring back and provide for our kids. And that conversation around music is really how can we improve upon and expand those music education opportunities for our kids. So that work will be happening this year as well. And I want to make sure I point out too that just because these content areas are listed next to these respective years, the work continues throughout. It's about establishing that cycle of review so that we're, constantly improving our instruction and our opportunities for our kids. And then in addition to that, we've also revisited our teacher leadership structure. So in the past, we had content lead teachers. We're revisiting that, and we'll be reconfiguring that a little bit so they'll be used in a different capacity. But I think definitely through the strategic planning process, we overwhelmingly heard that teacher leadership structure is extremely important. And so we're going to be revisiting that and filling those positions as we look ahead. So we're excited about that. All of this work that we'll be doing, we'll be looking at through the lens of providing more opportunities for our kids that are project-based learning and service learning. So all of this work, we're going to continue to look through that lens of incorporating PBL and service learning along the way, because that's certainly something that's outlined in our portrait of a graduate. It's something that's outlined in our directional system, and we want to keep that focus moving forward as well.
When will the report cards come out, the new report cards for next fall?
Yes. There may be some minor changes that we'll be able to get in place, but in terms of a complete revamp, if that's what we decide needs to happen, would be for next fall, yeah. Next slide. That's why I needed the remote, but okay. All right, so the second objective I mentioned earlier is our multi-tiered system of supports. So MTSS is what you may have heard it called. So MTSS is really just a framework that's used to provide targeted support to our students, both academically and social-emotionally. So I won't talk specifically about each one of these, but this really outlines so far what we've been able to put in place as it relates to those targeted supports for our kids. So at the elementary level, we have completely changed and improved our Title I delivery model to support our multi-tiered systems of supports. And we've also incorporated additional progress monitoring tools to assess student growth along the way. In addition to that, as it relates to social-emotional needs, we're in communication with our K-12 counseling staff to ensure that we're meeting the social-emotional needs of our students. And also, we know early intervention is extremely important, both academically and social-emotionally. So at the elementary level, we also adopted a program called Second Step that takes it's a great way to incorporate those social-emotional learning standards in the classroom. So we've done some great things. We have some great things in place for our youngest students. And then we're going to work to expand that, obviously, to the middle school, high school level. First, looking closely at how we're using that academy time that's already built into the block schedule to provide intervention, not just intervention, but also enrichment opportunities for our students as well. And finally, the third objective is around enhancing our data systems district-wide. So I'll be working very closely with Roy Zeman, our Director of Student Services and now Data Analytics, to develop that foundation of data-driven decision-making and incorporating that work across all aspects of teaching and learning. And then finally, communication is a large piece of this entire process. So through this monthly newsletter that will be shared with staff, it'll align our thinking and keep everyone up to date with any changes or updates to any of these areas that you see listed here, which fall under that Director of Curriculum role. So that will be provided to our staff each month. And we're excited about the work ahead. As you can see, there's a lot of work. I tried to keep it as short and sweet as possible. I know the board, I think, had the opportunity to see my 30-slide presentation. I thought I'd spare all of you that. But there is certainly a lot of work ahead, but we're really excited for the development of what we're going to call the Tallmadge Way. So, thank you. Any questions I can answer? That's a great question. So social emotional learning is kind of a large umbrella, but a lot of it is around conflict resolution, teaching students how to resolve conflict among each other, how to talk about their emotions and what they identify. First of all, they have to, especially our youngest students, identifying how they're feeling and why they're feeling that way and talking through those emotions. And it's okay to feel any of the emotions. But it's about how we approach those and how we deal with those. So there's a lot that falls under social emotional learning, but really those are the biggest components of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Golf clap.
Well, members of the board, I would love for that and the things that Courtney's working on to be the primary focus of what's happening in the Tallmadge City School District right now and what is drawing most of the attention and the excitement for what we do. Unfortunately, there's other things that are drawing that excitement and attention right now, and I understand that. But I'm here to talk a little bit about what's happening with our response to COVID so far, and talk about how we're navigating it. So I'll start with back in July 21st at the board meeting, the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction Plan was presented to the board. At that time, there was 14 total cases in Summit County. A whole county, 540,000 residents, there were 14 cases. And at that time, we decided to make masks optional. And that was absolutely the hope and the dream that we could do that for the whole school year. Because I don't think any of us like wearing a mask, and we certainly think our kids, it's better and easier to engage our kids as students between student and teacher without a mask on. So what happened the week of August 30th. Up to that point, cases were low. Some districts had decided to go with a mask requirement based on a CDC and Ohio Department of Health recommendation. Those were Kent, Twinsburg, Akron, Hudson, and Nordonia, some of the local districts. All the rest of us essentially kept it as optional. But that week of August 30th, all of a sudden there was a domino effect, including Tallmadge, Stowe, Cuyahoga Falls, Woodridge, Aurora, Streetsboro, Greene, Wadsworth, and many more shifted to mask required. So why is that? So like Tallmadge, and the goal of our safe return to in-person instruction is to keep kids in school 5 days a week. So all the districts have that similar goal of keeping kids in school 5 days per week. Cases jumped substantially in Summit County that week. Again, I mentioned 14 back in July. It jumped to close to 150 that week, and now has climbed to over 250 a day in Summit County. We came back to school on the 30th of August and came into the district with just significant number of cases that hit over that weekend. By September 1st, that Wednesday, we had 25 student cases active in the district, and 88 of our students were quarantined as a result of close contacts with those 25 cases. That's over 100 kids out of school based on 1 or 2 days of response. I saw in other districts where you had hundreds of kids in quarantine without some sort of mitigation. And some districts, Sandusky, others went fully remote. And we simply, again, my goal and what's navigating my decision-making is keeping kids in school 5 days per week. So we implemented the mask mandate that week. I know it's not popular. I don't like it either. Believe me, it's not something I want to do. But with the nature of the way the quarantine is set up and the quarantine rules that we follow from the Ohio Department of Health, there are 3 factors that are used to determine whether or not a student should be quarantined as a result of a close contact in school. And those 3 factors are whether or not that child is vaccinated, whether or not that person is within 6 feet of a positive case, and whether or not that person has a mask. And what we're finding is many of our students are vaccinated, but most are not, especially once you get to the younger grades, and none of them are. And we have strived to try to spread folks apart as much as we possibly can. Tonight's an example. We were able to get the board members each 6 feet apart so that they wouldn't have to wear a mask. But the rest of us, we could not. So there's a mask requirement if you're more than, if you're within 6 feet of somebody that's not in your household. So given that, the best approach for us to mitigate and try to stop kids from being kept out of school was to implement a masking requirement. As of today, again, as I mentioned, back on September 1st, 25 active cases, 88 kids quarantined. We're quarantining 3, almost 4 kids per active case. Today we had 11 positive cases. There are presently 11 positive active cases in the district. And there's a total of 13 kids in quarantine as a result of close contact with those 11 cases. So we reduced that number from between 3 and 4 per active case to just about 1. So what's next? I mean, cases remain very, very high in the community. I was on a call with Summit County Public Health and Governor DeWine today. And Governor DeWine is very, very concerned about the number of cases happening for kids ages 5 through 17. The governor, in fact, would say if he could, he would do a mask mandate similar to what's been done in Pennsylvania, Illinois, New York, but he cannot because of the nature of the legislature right now. His concern, again, is around the number of cases that are affecting kids. So 16, I'll try to, this statistic's interesting. The 16 days of the highest reported cases within ages 5 to 17 have all happened within the last 19 days. If you can follow me. So the 16 worst days of cases happening to kids between the ages of 5 and 17 have all happened basically within the last 2.5 weeks. So there's a lot of concern by the Ohio Department of Health and the governor about how the COVID presently is affecting our youngest kids. So again, my goal and my effort has been to keep kids in school. I want to comment before I turn it over. I'm sure there's comments and questions families have. First of all, I know it's a very polarizing issue, and I mentioned that at our July 21st meeting. It is a very polarizing issue, and I've had people that have been disappointed with our decision, both when we didn't mandate masks to start the year, and I certainly have folks that are very upset with the decision to require masks now. And I would say to a great degree, folks have been very, very respectful, and I think that's the Tallmadge way, a way to be respectful of one another, and I'm very, very thankful to those folks. I will add, though, our educators, especially our building administrators, did not get into this business to be educators, to do contact tracing all day and determine who's quarantined and who's not quarantined. And some of the treatment and disrespect that's been shown to some of these administrators over the last couple weeks is completely and will not be tolerated by Tallmadge City Schools. We have people that love your kids and want to do right by their kids and are doing a part of the job that they just don't want to be doing right now but have to. So I would just encourage everyone to be respectful of the administrators. If you're really angry at somebody and you need to take it out on somebody, call my office. That's what I'm here for. So I just ask, really, our administrators are carrying a huge load right now, and I encourage folks to be very, very respectful and recognize that as much as you may be upset with the system, I encourage you not to be upset with the individual. And then I'd also say, and I wish I could walk through these buildings and have the kids not wearing masks, but I will say it's awesome to walk through our buildings and having all of our kids back in school and enjoying time with their friends and their teachers. And it's been a delightful start to the school year, and I hope that continues and just gets better from here on out. So before I turn it over, does the board have any questions about the COVID response? Okay, great. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Okay, Section 7, old business, none listed. And Section 8, new business, anything new that anyone wants to comment on? Okay, Section 9. Section 9 is communications. I'm struggling today. I don't know what's up. Section 9, communications. At this point, what we'll do is, if you're interested in addressing the board, I think I'm going to have you come over to the podium here. And then when the light green comes on, I think, Kurt, you can handle that. Go ahead and state your name, and then go ahead and deliver your comments. We typically try and limit it to 3 minutes, but I'm not trying to be too autocratic about it. It's just to be polite with everyone's time. And it's always helpful to be focused when you talk and direct and also respectful, as I think Steve kind of mentioned. You know, and I'll give my little neighbor speech. Like, so often we say, like, those people are they, the government. Well, the government, in the case of the school board, are your neighbors. Like, we all live here, and there's several folks that, I think two and three others that are interested in this job, and they're all neighbors. Like, we live, and so think about, as frustrating as some of the decisions that we make are, they're not intended to be personal. They're intended to represent everyone in the town, not necessarily just how you feel, but it's a balance against others. And sometimes we could have 3 people here that dislike the board president, and there could be 100 people that love me. I don't know, but they're not here to tell me that. Oftentimes you show up here to complain, right? So just encouraging folks to be respectful, but the mic's yours. So I'll open it up to public comment. And there doesn't have to be any, by the way. Oh, sir?
Hi, my name's Steve Bauer. I'm a Tallmadge grandparent, and I see a few familiar faces that I've known for many years, Ms. Monachino, and the other young lady, I forget your name, Courtney. It seems like only yesterday you came here as principal. So I'm not going to go into the Hudson School issue, but I'll let you guys look that up on your own. But I think one of the big things of a curriculum coordinator is to be on the same page with the teachers and the administration, and what's happened at Hudson recently wouldn't happen here. But my concern is critical race theory, and I'm still flabbergasted that I escaped from communist Hungary in 1956 with my family. We escaped from what was known as critical theory, which was the base of critical race theory, and it was the base of every communist country, you know, and my concern is that we're dividing the country with this race stuff. I mean, I have a lot of black friends and we dialogue. We used to be able to talk religion and politics, and we still can if we're both willing to be respectful. And the civility is what our kids need to see. Us being civil as Tallmadge residents is what the kids are looking at, not tackling people on the football field if you're a dad, you know, stuff like that. But anyway, if Resolution 20 passes by the Ohio State School Board, I'm really concerned that that our schools are going to start teaching critical race theory. If we're forced to do that, then we have to discuss both sides of it. It's not a race thing. This whole, the Black Lives Matter, the CRT, the Resolution 20 are all tied in. The critical theory said that there's two people groups, two groups, victims and oppressors. And the whole thing of the Marxist CT was to overthrow the oppressors. In this case, whites are the oppressors and blacks are the oppressed, or what other groups they bring into that. And I'm saddened to see how it's dividing. I mean, I even see my black friends are divided on that. And you know, there's millions of us white families, and you all know this, that, you know, we care about what happens to the people of color and everybody else. We want to see them survive and thrive. But this constant push of, you know, you're racist, and, you know, everybody's trying to find out who's racist. Anyway, that's a quick one. The other one is, I'm concerned if the Equality Act passes, you will have to allow boys in the girls' restrooms. This whole MTSS, my concern there is, what are you going to say to the student who thinks they're transgender or they're having gender dysphoria? And the Equality Act is not the way to go. I mean, the science is not there. Even though Akron Children's is doing this kind of craziness, half the doctors disagree with this. Giving kids hormone pills before puberty and surgery when they're not even old enough to think about stuff like that. So, and I think what's going to happen is, over time, I'd work 2 jobs or 3 to get my kid out of school that teaches something like that. And it's going to be homeschooling and private school and taking kids out of the public schools if this doesn't change. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mr. Bauer. Appreciate your comments. Yeah, the first question I asked Mr. Wood today at lunch was like, College Credit Plus, do we teach that course here in the district? And the answer was no, regarding the Hudson comment that you made, Mr. Bauer. Appreciate that. And I grew up in Hudson, that's why I'm aware. Anyone else? Yeah, sure, come up.
Hi, my name is Matt Hoffman. I live right down the street. My daughter's sitting right there. She goes to the elementary school.
Hey, sweetie.
So here's the deal. This whole argument is stupid, period. It is. In 2018, 2019 flu season, 477 kids died according to the CDC. All right? That's 6 months. 21 months, we've had 439 kids die. Flu is far more deadly for kids, and nobody thought about wearing masks. And I look around here, everybody here, their masks are wide open on the sides. They don't work for aerosols. So we need to stop it. Period. It's the parents' choice. If people want to send their kids to school with a mask on, that's fine. I don't care. But for you or anybody else up here to tell me that my right as a parent is gone for something that I can look at and see is not as deadly as other illnesses is ridiculous, period. All right? Thank you.
All right, thanks, Matt. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. All right, at this time, item 10, I think it is. And then I think we're at the end, right? Sorry. Item 10.1, motion to adjourn. Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Chris. Jeff, please call the roll.
Ms. Justice Carter.
Aye.
Mr. Taiwan.
Hanging on by a string.
Mr. Ferris.
Aye.
Mrs. Sippin.
Aye.
Mr. Keller.
Aye. And then I'm not sure who's, okay, so meeting's adjourned. I don't know who's running the show next, but we'll clear out of the way so you all can get set up. I think yes, sir? 10-minute break. So 10-minute break, and then folks that want to hear the candidates, come on back.